Guys, my sister left me out of her son's child's birth. My only sibling, my only sister, has a boy and a girl, a son and daughter, and the son got married, had a baby in January, and I am left out of it. My sister is scared of me and my wife. She believes that if she says one wrong thing to me or my wife, we're going to hit her. So, you know, what does it take to put a picture in an envelope with the name, the weight, and the date of birth and send it to me? What am I going to do? I'm going to jump out of the envelope? That has nothing to do with being scared of me. What that's called is hate. It's pretty rotten and it's pretty evil. It's actually evil when, to leave a person, to leave a brother out of your son's birth, baby's birth is it's pretty rotten to do something like that. That's beyond family feuding. But what I'm getting to is this is how children are brought up today. They're brought up not to give a crap about having an uncle or an aunt. Okay? Anything outside of mother and father, you just don't exist. And that's how this generation is raised now. They're raised with a gross amount of disrespect for everybody. They're raised to only think of themselves and nobody outside of their circle. That's why things are like they are right now. So do you think they're going to get any better? You know what? If you think they're going to get any better, bro, you gotta don't lose sleep. You got a long wait. They're not going to change man for a good 50 to 100 years, if not longer than that. But that's how the kids are raised today. The ones in their 20s and 30s, they were raised like that. So you have an age group going from about, I'd say, 35 down to birth that is raised with selfishness and disrespect. They're taught not to trust anybody. They're taught to only think of themselves and their present circle. Meaning their mother, father, sons and daughters, or wife or husband. Everybody outside of that, you don't exist. You're not to be trusted, and you're worthless to them unless if you're a millionaire. And if you think I'm wrong, look around you, how people are, and you'll find that I'm 100% right. If you look at pictures, not even movies, if you look at pictures from the 1920s, the 1930s, the 1940s, the 1950s, even the 1960s, you will see how people are dressed. They're dressed nicely. And there's a reason for it. There's a reason why they dress nicely, because they cared about what someone thought of them. Okay? That they cared about what somebody thought of them. Today, people don't care what somebody thinks of them. So, in other words, then that also goes hand in hand with they don't care what you think of them, so they don't have any respect for you. Because if they had respect for you, they would dress somewhat nicely around you. Instead, you have people like if I go in Home Depot and there's a guy in front of me, he'll fart. He just doesn't care who smells it or who's behind him, because they don't have any respect for anybody, because they're raised only to care about themselves. Now you couple that with these kids with their parents at the school bus stops. The bus picks them up from in front of their door, drops them off in front of the school door, picks them up in front of the school door, drops them off in front of their house. They're handed everything. They don't have to walk to school like I did. They're handed everything. Now, the way these kids are going to grow up, they're going to grow up they're being brought up by their parents not to trust anybody and not to have respect for anybody outside of their household. On top of that, they're going to want everything handed to them. You know what this creates, guys? This creates a horrible individual. It's going to create an extremely selfish and repulsive and violent generation. That's what's coming up. And stupid. Because they're not going to realize what their fellow man is capable of doing, because they're going to think that they're raised as stupid as they were. But that's all you got to do. You don't believe me? Go online and look at pictures of the days gone by. Look at pictures of people from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And look at people how they're dressed today. They're dressed in crap like this. Their pants hanging half off their butt. They smell. They fart around people. They burp around people. They belch around people. They cuss around people. You know, back in the 1940s, if you cussed in public, you got arrested. If you spit on a sidewalk, you got arrested. Those Irish cops, those Irish Keystone cops back then, they had a billy club in their hand. You even looked at them wrong, bam! They whacked you right over the head with a billy club. They didn't go for none of that crap like today. I don't expect my only sibling to treat me in a humane fashion. I don't expect it, guys. You know, to put a picture, I know she has a smartphone. I know she has a printer. I know that for fact. Put a picture in an envelope. She knows my address. She used to live on this street. You know, you can't say you don't know my address. She knows my address. You know, treat me. I'm not asking for respect. I'm just asking to be treated like a human being for a moment. But I'm not expecting it no more, guys. Whatever was there is gone. You know, we were on talking terms there for a couple years, talking through Marco Polo videos. So apparently she didn't trust seeing me in person. You know, and whatever was there, it's dissolved. So I've come to the realization that I just don't need a toxic person like that around me or in my life. Excuse me. You know, back when I was in business, guys, I had to judge customers whether they were going to pay or not. You know, and I was pretty good at it. I was pretty good at judging people. You know, back when I was doing home remodeling, a box of screws, a box of 2-inch drywall screws, or even an 1.5" drywall screws, were $1.99 a box. You know what they are now? They're over $10 a box. That's what they are now. Now they're probably more from all this tariff stuff. But that's what they were back in the 90s. They were $1.99 a box. Okay? Now they're over. They might even be $12 a box now. You know, and they're made in Mexico. They're made out of a cheap metal. You know, they wonder why these storms come through. Okay? Like you've seen all the houses in Kentucky, they're wiped off the face. The whole towns are wiped off the face of the earth. I'll tell you why it's like that. It's not like that because the climate's changing. It's like that because the homes are made out of dry lumber. When you buy a 2x4 today and you run a screw in it or a nail, they split, they crack because the lumber is dry. These lumber mills are making millions of 2x4s and they're sitting and sitting and sitting for years so they dry out. And they're so brittle and dry they crack like nobody's business. On top of that, the nails are made in Mexico. The construction nails and construction screws are made in Mexico. They're made out of a cheap metal because there's no regulations on companies not in Mexico. So they make the nails out of cheap metals, out of cheap tin. So that's why the nails are real brittle. If you ever notice now, like if you screw a drywall screw in, how the head breaks off, there you go. And the homes are made out of all drywall. You know, back when I was in construction, we did everything out of plaster. We put rock board up or metal lap up, and we plastered the walls. The houses were like tanks back then. Now they're drywall. They're made out of brittle lumber, dry brittle lumber, and drywall, half-inch drywall. That's why they're blowing down like they're a house of cards, because they literally are. So, hey, listen, guys, my conchos, I ordered another box of those conchos. They're coming in. I don't know when I'll be able to do up that tank pad or that tank bib. But that's going to look nice once that's done. I might even do up my saddlebags with more of them conchos. I've got to see. You know, maybe I'll put I can put some conchos above some of the spots. I'll make my mind up about that. I'll see.